Hi, this is Holly from Hollys Pandorium. I'm so glad we're back, and I have with us a special guest today. This is Christina. Hello, Christina.
Hi, thank you for having me.
I'm so glad you're here.
Mm.
Christina is a paranormal investigator, and she has got some really cool things to share with us today. Please tell us, Christina, for people, we have our listeners and our viewers, how did you get started in the paranormal? When did it happen?
Well, I live in Salem, Massachusetts, and I was living in an 1800s house. And what got me started into the paranormal was I woke up one morning and I was frozen. I had the sleep paralysis going on,
Oh,
and all I could move was my eyes. And what happened was I was laying there and I'm just looking, and my alarm clock was going off. And the silhouette of a man came out of my bed. He rose up, he shut my alarm clock off, and then he went back and disappeared. And when he disappeared back into my bed, I was able to move. So
oh
that's
my
what got me into,
goodness.
yeah, that's what got me
Oh,
into the paranormal.
how old were you when this happened?
I was pretty young actually. I would say I was in my teenage years.
Wow. And that's the first time you experienced something like that?
Yes, yeah. I would wake up every morning and my comforter would be across the room. And I'd wake up and I'd be freezing and I'd be like, what's going on? And every morning I wake up, my comforter would be across the room.
Whoa.
Yeah. So then I started talking to the house, going, okay, well, I'm cold. Can you not do this to me? And
Yeah.
yeah,
Did
but I
this
had a
happen
lot of
to sorry.
oh,
Go
that's
ahead.
okay. I had a lot of paranormal experiences in my life.
Okay. So
Yeah.
did anyone else in your family experience this type of situation?
Oh yes, yes, absolutely. Not so much back then, but where I'm living now, I'm living in a haunted house, and there's a lot of stuff that goes on in this house.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So when did you change from being an experiencer to being an investigator? How did that happen?
I started experiencing things when I was young, and I just was so fascinated with the paranormal, and I just wanted to become an investigator. So I started investigating things, and I like collecting EVPs. I like doing EVPs,
Right.
and I had my own team at the time. I had what was it called? It was called SPOTS, Strategic Paranormal Operations Team, and
Nice.
I built my team and did my thing, and I was helping people all over that needed help with the paranormal.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this is something that you do just as a full-time gig, or is this something you do after work after 5, or how do you do this?
I do it. I do it as a full time. I'm not with. I did shut my team down for certain reasons, but I do still help people all the time whenever anyone needs help. I've been on social media for over 25 years, and a lot know me as Haunted Salem.
Okay.
So not only am I a paranormal investigator, I'm a solitary witch. And a
Gotcha.
lot of people come to me and ask me for help, and I'll go over to their house and help them and do what I have to banish what's in their house and help them. And I still have people thanking me to this day for helping them for what they needed help in. So it's very rewarding.
It sounds like it. It sounds like it.
Yes.
So, can you share with us when you had this first experience? Were you able to tell your family? Were you able to talk to your mom and dad and tell them what happened, or
No, I didn't tell anybody.
no?
No,
Okay.
not until later on.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, when did you decide that this was something that was going to be a career for you? How did that come about?
I think it was just my calling. It's just something things would happen to me, like things I would see things move. I would something around that nature, and then I just started wanting to investigate what was going on. It just all came about, and I started investigating, and that's just how it all happened. I was living in
So,
Salem. Yeah.
okay. Well, yeah, because Salem, Massachusetts has a very well-known history of things in the paranormal to begin with, and
Yes.
especially to do with witches. I'm in Washington State, and we definitely have our different history of things with Bigfoot and all that.
Oh
But
yes.
yes, absolutely. So we've got our paranormal things here too, as much. Um, But for me, I'm actually a psychic medium, and so I've dealt with the paranormal and seen ghosts my whole life.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I talk to the dead almost daily.
Mhm.
It's just part of my life. It's something that I got
Exactly.
used to, and it's just something that I do. Um, but I didn't normally talk to anybody but my mom. She was one of the only people that knew that I did that.
Sure.
So that was just a different thing for me. Um, but you're saying now that you're in your own haunted house. Is this something you did by choice, or is it something that you discovered after you moved in?
Discovered after we moved in.
Yeah.
My mother's been here over 26 years, and she knows what I do, and she just needs help in the house. A lot goes on in this house,
Oh
and
yeah.
I just do everything I can to keep it at bay.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So, can you describe for me what you normally do for an investigation? If someone contacts you and says they think their house is haunted, what's your procedure? How do you go about taking care of that?
Sure, I would schedule an appointment. I'd go down there and I'd ask them. I'd research the house and research before I'd go. Find out what's on the land, if anything is going on in the area, what's going on in the house, and then go over there and I would investigate. I would use my tools, K2, EVP, recording, video, camera, all the equipment that you could possibly get, and do an investigation. And then I do my own evidence review. See, I don't see or hear spirits like you normally would. I do it a lot. I talk to the dead through EVPs. I've
Okay.
had conversations with them. I can go back and forth with them, and that's
Nice.
how I do it, because I don't have those abilities. So again, I would do EVPs, or I would review pictures and see what's on them. And then what I do is I say, okay, this is what's going on. You definitely have something going on here. What I do is I use my witchcraft, and I would use spells to
Okay.
banish the spirits in the house. Make sure they get rid of them, clean up the process, and then I keep in contact with them to make sure that things are going okay and they're not being bothered anymore.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, can you share for our listeners a couple of your encounters and what they were like? Like, what can you remember your first time doing investigation? What was that like?
It was I was in Massachusetts. It was in Danvers. This lady asked me to come in. Her 5-year-old at 11 at night would wake up screaming every night at 11, and she had
Oh,
no idea what was going on. So I brought my team in there, and we did the investigation. And I did some banshee spells and did some clearing of the house. And she just said every night at 11 a.m. my son would wake up and he would just scream his head off. I don't know what's going on.
oh,
Well, after we went in there and we investigated and we did all what we needed to do. The very next day, she says, "Oh my God," she called me up and says, "Oh my God, he slept like a baby. He hasn't woke up since.
oh,
He hasn't woken up
wow.
since." She thanked me up and down. Thank you for
Nice.
everything that you did. He has not woken up since. She couldn't thank me enough. And I said, that's what we do. We're here to help.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
and especially with the children, it is rewarding to know that what you did to go in there to help a child that was in need it is pretty rewarding.
Oh, yeah. So, what's the most surprising thing that you've heard on an EVP that you can think of?
Oh, I got over 6,000 on my external
Okay.
drive. um, okay. Well, sitting here in this house in a quiet kitchen, doing an EVP, how do you get the sounds of trains, metal work, like working in a metal factory with the train toots and
Yeah.
the banging,
Hmm.
like as in like a metal factory? It seems like I caught a residual memory from a different time.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, and it does exactly what it sounds like. You listen to this EVP and it sounds like a metal factory, a train toot, and
Wow.
all the workings, and it's so loud. And I was like, wow, you just sitting in a quiet kitchen. And
How
I
funny.
think it was a residual memory that I caught.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
That's incredible. That's
Hmm.
incredible.
I got bum rushed by a ghost in this house. He was coming at me really fast, and he was tapping. He was doing this, okay, and I could hear the sound. And I was sitting in the kitchen by myself, and I hear this noise coming at me faster and faster and faster. And I was like, "Whoa, what's going on?" And I went, "Stop!" Right? It stopped. I put it on my DVR. I do an EVP, and this guy, he with this voice, he goes, "Well, didn't I scare you just a little bit?" I was like, okay. You want to play games? We got it. We can play.
Oh.
So I get a lot of direct responses. I get a lot of conversations. I even have conversations with my own family members that have passed on.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. What is that like for you?
I hear the spirit voice. It's very nice to hear the spirit voice, but you have back-to-back conversations, and it's unbelievable that you can have those conversations back and forth with someone that's passed on that you've loved and your own family.
Right.
Yeah, it's definitely very nice to hear them and know that they're still there and everything's, they're not they're okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, it is. I think that's one of the most life affirming things, is to get confirmation of an afterlife at all.
Yes.
For people that don't believe there's anything after death.
Yes.
I feel like that's a very sad philosophy, because that's awfully permanent to have one life of 70 or 80 years if you're lucky, and then nothing.
Yeah.
That just seems kind of fantastic to me. So
Yeah.
I think the afterlife makes a lot more sense for me anyway. Definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yes. So what's the funniest thing that you've ever heard on an EVP?
Funniest thing I've ever heard on an EVP. Oh, funny. I don't know. I have to think about that one.
Okay.
I don't know if I get a lot of funny ones. I think they're all funny because being able to connect with the other side, and I help people have that connection with the DVR and the, what I mean, where they can hear their loved ones too.
Right.
But I don't think I get funny ones.
No? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the scariest one you've had?
I get a lot of I have a lot of portals. I deal with a lot of portals, and I've been being followed by this one demon for most of my life, and I have a whole paragraph of him just talking. He's waiting for me to pass on so he can be with me on the other side.
Interesting.
Yeah, he keeps telling me he wants my soul. He wants this, he wants that, and I mean, I have connections and I have people that help me kind of close those portals and kind of clear the energy and the structures of the house.
Yeah,
stuff like that. But it is what it is. I'm not afraid. I'm not worried about it, and
well,
but
that's intense. That's an intense thing you just said. I mean, that's kind of incredible. There's a lot of people that would be completely petrified hearing something like that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So if somebody is coming to you and they think they have some kind of ghost situation going on, do you offer to help clear the house right away, or do you give somebody the option if they're comfortable with the ghost in the house and they just want evidence? Do you work with people that way also?
Yes, I do. I give them the option. I can help them from afar, because a lot of people, they're far from me. They're not usually in the state. So I would say, I can help them send someone over there. We can help from afar. Or, do you want them out of your house? Or you just want the evidence? Or do you want everything completely gone? I definitely give them that option.
Okay.
I leave it up to them and what they want.
Okay. So when what's the furthest away that you've done a research for someone?
Oh, all over the states. I even have friends out in different countries.
Nice.
Yes. And we do videos, FaceTime or whatnot, back and forth. So it's easy to talk with anyone from New Zealand or Sweden or, Australia. I have friends all over. So, but people come to me all over the world.
That's amazing.
Yes.
That's amazing. So, how did you develop your skills to do this? How have you worked to develop a better sense of? I mean, it's not just the equipment because equipment's a part of it, but a
Exactly.
lot of it too is when you talk about the witchcraft end of things. How does that incorporate, and how did you learn to do that with your work?
Well, everything that I've done, I self-taught myself.
Yeah.
I've always had the interest in witchcraft and the paranormal, and I've always had that. I think it's a calling for me. It's my calling, and I've always had the interest and um, passion, dedication. It's just something that I want to do, and I learned, and I just a lot of reading, a lot of studying, even to do my own evidence review, to pull noise and voices out of a flat line. It's all self-taught. I self-taught myself everything that I know.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, do you attend different conferences or things like that for some of your training?
Not for training, for just I do a lot of events, and I've been on the event boards and panels and stuff like that in different areas. So they just asked me to come in and talk, and I'd do that, or come in and ask, answer questions, and I would do that as well.
That's great.
Yeah, it's a lifetime. It's a lifetime of being in this field. So you just develop it, and then you just learn from it, and you grow, and you'll never stop learning.
Right.
You'll never stop learning.
Right.
Yes.
So, what can you say to somebody if they're not sure that they have a ghost? What are some things that people can look for?
Um, if they're not sure they have a ghost, signs are a big thing. What first off, you want to find out what's going on, and if things are being moved. I mean, that's one thing, but like a lot of EMF with wires, it could make you feel those same feelings that a ghost could. So you want to debunk a lot. You want to go into an investigation with an open mind, and you want to go in there not just knowing that it may not even be a spirit. You know what I mean? That there could be other things. So you go in and investigate other things around the areas, and try to debunk things before you would sit there and call something paranormal.
Right.
Yeah.
I had just one incident not too long ago where someone thought they were experiencing a haunting, and it turned out to be an ice machine.
Oh, wow.
They were
Yes.
in an apartment that they weren't really familiar with, and it was a new noise, and they hadn't noticed it when they first moved in, and then after a while they were like, what is that? And they were just sure it was haunted, and it was literally just an old refrigerator with an
Oh,
old
wow.
ice maker, that,
Yeah.
and it was, the water going through the lines made a weird
Yeah.
noise, and the ice
Yeah.
dropping made a weird noise. They just weren't used to it. Yeah.
Yeah. Even the old radiators do that. The thumps and the
Oh,
bumps.
sure. Yeah, there's all kinds of things
Yeah.
like that. So
Absolutely.
if somebody, I know people tend to be nervous about having a haunting. How can you share with the listeners and viewers, should they be afraid of hauntings? Is this something that is scary, or something that they should be really concerned about their health or well-being if they think they're being haunted?
I don't think they should be afraid of anything. Yes, there are certain instances where things can scare you, and there are certain evidence out there that you could be touched, or things like that. I mean, it's different between a haunting and a poltergeist. A poltergeist is a noisy spirit out there that's really causing things to move around and stuff like that. Um, I see. I'm not. I wouldn't exactly say be afraid of it. A lot of ghosts and spirits that come. They just want mess. They want to bring messages, or they need help. And some people who see them or don't see them, they're just looking for help. Is what it is. And the ones that are really causing problems, they need to go find somebody that can come in and investigate and help and banish what's in their house out of their house. You
Right.
know what I mean? That way that they can feel more comfortable living where they live, not be so much in fear, stuff like that. But I wouldn't be afraid of spirits and ghosts. But that's just my opinion, you know. Um, I mean, there's a lot of different levels to it. and they are everywhere. To me, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if it's a new home or an old home; it could still have a ghost in it. But there's a difference between a ghost and a haunting, to a poltergeist, to something really, really, going on that's really needs some attention.
Okay. Can
So it
you, just for
depends.
our listeners, I'm sorry, just for
That's
our listeners, can you explain the difference between a haunting and if you ever ghost, and tell people what the difference is?
Sometimes you can see the shadow person, at the corner of your eye. Those are just, noise. Not they're just watching you. There's a difference between being watched and having spirits in your home that don't bother you, or maybe there's an angry spirit that was angry in life that they're going to be angry in the afterlife.
Hmm.
Okay, so they could not want you in their home, or they don't even know that they're dead. You know,
Yeah.
there's a difference between having a ghost in your home like that's just living in there and just minding their own business, and you hear little things here or things there, or something moves. Nothing's bothering you. But if something starts bothering you, as in pushing you, hurting you, things like that, or things are really going on in the house where doors are opening and slamming, and things are moving everywhere, lights are going on and off. I mean, they're just trying to scare you, for you to get out of their home. Okay. But that's when you would need to contact somebody and have them come in and help them clear out what is in their home.
Right.
But there's a lot of differences between hauntings and poltergeists. um, even spirit attachments. You could have a spirit attachment. A haunting to me is just a ghost in there that's trying to get you out. A haunting to me is just opening and closing things, banging things, moving things. That's a haunting. you know Poltergeist, I think, to me would be more, um what do you call it, more involved, more like really scary. You know what I mean? Where you start
Yeah.
seeing things in your home. You can see spirits moving around in your home. You open, you know what I mean, things like that. So there's different levels to it. And if anyone feels scared about anything, they should contact somebody and have them come in and clear out what's in their home, because no one should have to live like that.
Right. I agree.
No, yeah, no one should have to live like that. No one should have to be afraid of their home or living in their home, anything like that. But it also depends on the person as well.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, what I usually share with people too, if they're debating, because unfortunately sometimes people wait because they're afraid of what'll happen. And
yeah,
I explain to people it's not like the Ghostbuster mobile is going to pull up in front of your house and make a big scene.
yeah,
It's done very professionally and discreetly. And um, I don't know about your ghost team in your area, but most of the ghost teams out here in Washington and Oregon don't charge. They just do it
no,
as
I
a service
never.
to help the public.
Yes,
Um, because we all agree, if anyone that's had an experience tends to be more empathetic to people that are going through it, and
mhm,
understand that, yeah, it doesn't have to be scary, but you also don't have to be in the dark about why they're there and what's going on. It feels better to have
yeah,
answers. It feels better to
absolutely.
know, yes, it's real, or no, it's not. And then, well, if it is real, then what's happening, and what are they trying to tell me?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. They bring messages. They want help. They can't find the light, or maybe they just need to be crossed over, or maybe they just have unfinished business and they're stuck. Maybe they're stuck in the home. Maybe they can't leave the home.
Right.
There's many different variables.
Right. So in dealing, I'm very curious about the area that you live in. Can you
Sure.
talk to us a little bit about what the spirit energy is like around Massachusetts? What is that like?
Well, I don't think it's just in Massachusetts, but there's a lot that goes on around here. We don't have any native lands, or well, shouldn't say that. I mean, we do have native land, but like Indian burial grounds, stuff like that. I never really came across any myself around here, and I used to go all over the place in Massachusetts, but um, just regular hauntings. And it's not too bad here as far as like real nasty and violent, as one could be.
Mhm.
But Salem's got a lot of haunted locations. They have like 3,500 locations out there just in Salem alone,
Oh,
and
wow.
that's just one town. So never mind all the surround towns around it.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot. It is a lot. But again, wherever you go, you're gonna find whatever nature is there.
Right.
I mean, but we do have native land up here, and
Yeah.
you just gotta learn where your surroundings are and what could be from your surroundings. I like doing a lot of work in cemeteries.
Yeah.
So I get a lot. Like I said, I have 6,000 EVPs,
Yeah.
and that's just not even that's just around the area, Salem, a couple of towns where I live now. So if I collect that many in one area, I read what the whole
That's what I'm
state.
saying, because that's a lot. That's why
Then
I'm
that's what the
asking.
whole
Yeah.
state's like. I mean, but
Yeah.
it's not just the state; it's everywhere.
It is. I actually do work in cemeteries too, but mine's probably a little different than yours.
Yeah,
But it's for me, going to cemeteries is very peaceful.
yeah,
It's relaxing and it's calm, and um, I love to hear stories. I love to hear what's happened. Um, and one of my other episodes, I'll just share with you really quick. I had three little boys run up to me and say, "Guess what we did?" And they had buried their dog in a cemetery that was for people.
oh wow,
But it was darling. I mean, they were just really cute. And I don't know what their story was because they didn't show themselves as adults. They just represented as children.
okay,
And they shared with me that their dog had died and they had family in the cemetery and they thought the dog was family and should have got to be there too.
oh wow.
And they just wanted to tell me. And then they took off and disappeared. But it was darling. And I thought, oh my gosh. I mean, lots of things happen for me at cemeteries. And it's for me, and I know this may sound completely nuts to some of our viewers and some of our listeners, but cemeteries to me are fun. It's
Oh, yeah,
relaxing and it's entertaining, and there's a lot going on. To me, the spirit world is much bigger than the physical world that we live in. And I find a lot of not just entertainment, but a lot of calm and serenity and a lot of information from the other side. And
now
so,
being able to see them and hear them is a little different from not being able to. Could you decipher the difference between actually knowing if they're real or spirit? Do you know right away?
yeah. I do remote viewing for people, and I do, I guess the easiest thing for me to say is when someone is a residual spirit, they tend to repeat what they're doing.
Okay, yeah, yeah,
They
yeah,
tend to be in a loop. And
yeah.
so they'll they'll consistently do something over and over. And it could be like in a haunted house situation. A lot of times they tend to hover in one area
Mhm.
because something happened in that area that they're drawn to.
Okay,
Um, I had a couple of ghosts show up. I do seances on Sunday nights. And
nice.
so after we're done, that's something that I'm going to do. I should invite you sometime. You'd probably get a kick out of it. Um, but what I do is I talk to people that have passed on, and I had these two really lovely lady ghosts show up. One was much younger than the other one, and the the younger of the two had been violently murdered,
Okay,
unfortunately,
so
and she was hanging out at a park nearby where I live, and just watching children from a distance. She didn't get near them. She was just watching because they were her age, and she felt safer being around them.
yeah.
And the older lady had died suddenly and didn't realize she was dead at first and kind of wandered the neighborhood. And she realized this little girl could see her.
Oh
And
wow.
so she ended up talking to her and getting to know each other. And they just kind of stuck together and made a little family
Oh
and
wow.
kind of hung out. And then they ended up finding me. And the older lady said she was ready to go home. She was ready to see the rest of her family that had passed on, but she didn't want to leave the girl.
Oh wow.
And
Yeah.
so what was really amazing and a blessing for all of them was one of the family members of the girl had passed on and they had not found her. They didn't know what happened to her. So
Okay.
she had been kidnapped when she was around 11 or 12,
Okay.
and they never found her body. Her body was never located. And I don't honestly know where she died because she didn't even remember it. It was
Oh
quite a
wow.
long time ago. Um, but her whole countenance changed. Her whole face and everything about her lifted when she saw one of her family members from the
Oh
beach.
wow.
And it gave my husband and I chills, and it was beautiful and amazing, but it just everyone in her family was like, because there she was. They
Yeah.
found her, because one of the things her family member said was that we didn't know if she was dead or not. We don't know where she'd been all this time. And we figured she was, but we never found her body. So we could, it was like closure for them to find her.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, and that to me is amazing when stuff like that happens.
Mm.
And speaking of your ghosts coming at you or things happening at you, it made me giggle when you said that, because every so often a ghost will show up and they run at me just to see if I'm going to respond or
Yeah.
not, just to see if I'm going to react. And it doesn't happen very often, but once in a while they just want to see what I'm made of, what am I doing, and who am I, and whatever. And they'll charge and rush, and they basically are doing what they do elsewhere. They're trying to
Yeah.
haunt or scare or
We're
startle.
trying to haunt or scare. Exactly.
And to me, it's like your big brother that sneaks up behind you around the corner. Whoa.
Yeah. Exactly.
And
Oh
it's
my
like,
gosh.
okay, really, that's what you got? Come on, why, don't waste my time. What are you doing? And so that's kind of cute that they. To me, it is. It doesn't scare me, but it's fun because then it's like, oh, okay, well, you don't scare. Okay, well, and then they're normal and they'll just talk to me and we have a conversation, and sometimes they want to go home and sometimes they don't. And sometimes this is home. They just want to stay.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
My third eye isn't open properly, and a lot of times they tell me, let the spirits bring it to you. Don't open it yourself. Let the spirits give you that gift. And when they do give me that gift, which I know is coming, I would help them. If I was able to see or hear them, I would help them figure out what they want, what they need, and help them get it so they can move on.
Yeah.
And not be so the way they are earthbound.
Right. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Because I think that's one of the toughest things for people to not connect the dots with, is when you're a living person with a body, you have a tool, you have equipment to work out whatever you're doing. And when you're in the beyond, it's not so easy. They run out of energy very quickly. It's hard. That's why I tried to encourage. I started on a ghost team this last year, and have just done a little bit of work with that. But I try to encourage people when they're doing ghost work to go slow, because it takes so much energy for a
Oh yeah.
spirit to talk. It wipes them out.
Mhm.
And so they're trying to communicate, and I know that they're trying to reach us somehow, get our attention, get our acknowledgement, get something, or like you said, share a story or get help
Mhm.
with something. And we're so excited as ghost workers that we tend to get in a hurry and throw a bunch of questions in a row, and they don't have the energy to reply to everything,
Mhm.
So for me, I try to just encourage people to be really patient, because it takes them a minute sometimes just to say a sentence or a
Sure.
yes or no, depending on their energy level.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've had people come to me and ask me that they can see spirits and they're afraid of them. And
Uh,
I would just talk to them and say, there's nothing to be afraid about. They just want to either help you or they want you to help them.
right.
And if you can see them, I encourage people to talk to them, ask them what they want. Don't be afraid. What do you want? How can I help you?
Right.
And see what happens. And now this person that has come to me is not so much afraid anymore, because they understand now that they're not, you know what I mean? And that they just want help.
Yeah.
Or vice
And
versa, they're trying to help you.
yes. And I think part of what happens is there's a generational message that's been passed on that is a bunch of crap. And it's, if you talk to something that's dead, you're going to be possessed instantly.
Yeah, no.
I'm laughing because no,
Yeah.
it doesn't work like
It
that.
doesn't work like that.
But people don't know that. And it's just, it's one of those weird things in our human world that we repeat without knowing whether it's real or not. And here to tell people it's not real.
Mhm.
And, I do recommend that people protect themselves and imagine, protect yourself with a white light or a pink
Yes.
light or whatever color light you like, and just it's there. It's as
Yes.
real as air that you can't see that you're breathing all the time. It's very real. And
Mhm.
just to surround yourself with positivity. But yes, talking to something is not an invitation to let something possess you or take you over.
Yeah, no.
So yeah, yeah, it's amazing how much misinformation there is in this arena. I think that that's one of my other big goals is to help debunk.
Mhm.
And for people that aren't doing stuff in the paranormal, debunking means to disprove or to prove something, to get to the
Mhm.
source of something's truth, to find out
Yes.
whether something is legitimate or not. Is it the refrigerator or is it Aunt Melda? Who is it? What
Yes.
is it? Right.
Exactly. No.
Exactly. So tell me what it is that amazes you about this work that you do.
Everything. Sum it up to one word. Everything. It, just the fact that, I have so many evidence that proves the afterlife.
Yeah.
Okay. And I used to have 2 paranormal talk radio shows, and I used to do a lot. And I have a lot. And it's just everything that comes with it. What you see, what you hear, what you collect. I mean, the whole 9 yards. It's just amazing. It's amazing. And what I catch, um, there's just no denying that I am talking to this person, my family member, or I am talking with these people and to the dead, and it just everything. It's just everything. It's amazing to me, and I would never change anything for the world. I wouldn't. And it's the helping people. It's helping people. Um, it's everything. That's yeah.
Okay. So what are you most proud of in the work that you've done?
My evidence. The evidence I collected, the evidence I'm most proud of, the evidence I've collected, and also the people that I've helped. They're coming back to me and thanking me to this day, even though I've done it 10 years ago. And just knowing that you help somebody or help children or things like that, it's that stuff.
Yeah.
It's rewarding.
So what inspires you?
Um, what inspired me was my son. My son definitely had he could see the same thing. I think he has those abilities to see and hear, and just teaching him and going and helping him with his experiences inspires me. And things I've gone through with him, everything that I've dealt with the paranormal, people that I've worked with inspire me. Um, I just think the field's inspiring to me. It's a passion of mine. It's a calling, and when you have so much passion for something, you just go with it, and you just do what you can. You just do what you can.
So what are you most curious about in the paranormal these days? I mean, you've come a long way. You started how many years ago, and now
Yes,
you've gone through all these different phases of the paranormal industry, so
yes.
to speak. So what are you most curious about these days? What are you working on?
Um, Most curious about is more of the poltergeist activity. I like abandoned buildings. I like going into abandoned buildings. I like doing things like that, investigating. I like investigating cemeteries, but you tend to want to go into places that are more active. And those places right there, um, you get more evidence and more things going on. I had a case in New Hampshire where I actually had ectoplasm come through the rug and right on my bottom, my bum. I had
Oh
this
my God.
big ectoplasm, sticky residue, stuff like that, things like that. You
That must
know,
have been incredible.
oh, it was. I got pictures of it too. And the rug wasn't wet, but here I am, got the sticky residue of ectoplasm all over me.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I got slimed.
See, that's probably the funniest thing that's happened to you. You actually got
Yeah,
slimed.
I got slimed. Yes, I did. I got slimed.
That's amazing. That is
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, and it's just the evidence. It's the evidence to me that's rewarding, because it just shows that there is things going on and there are things happening, and it just proves the afterlife to me anyway.
Yeah.
Because they say there's no proof of the afterlife, but if I have evidence after evidence after evidence, I mean, you can't make that stuff up.
Right.
It's proof
Right.
to me.
Yeah, I get it.
You
So,
know.
if somebody is interested in the paranormal, can you tell us a couple of books that you would recommend people to read or check out?
Well, I am an author myself. I do have my own books. I do have The Family Cabin, The Life of Philip Syracuse. And it's about everything that he has. It's on Barnes and Nobles, and it's about his entire life and everything he's gone through with the paranormal and supernatural. And it's about his life and everything he's encountered. That is a really good book. When I was writing it, I did not want to stop writing.
Yeah.
It was so thriller. It was so mystery. It was so
Yeah.
suspense that I didn't want to stop. But I collect ghost books. I collect them. So I read a lot of Lorraine Warren and Ed Warren. I read a lot of stuff like that. I like all facts. So I just say go with the nonfiction, the fact there, and that's what I do. I like all the ghost books.
So how did you dive into writing your own story book? I mean, how did that happen?
He was a good friend of mine, Phil. He was looking for someone for a couple of years to write his book, and everyone was scared to write it. They were afraid to write it. They thought that what would happen to him would happen to the person writing the book. But I was not afraid to write it, and I said, sure, I'll write your book. And I started writing this book, and it was amazing. It was amazing. And everything that he went through is just amazing. And I couldn't stop writing. We were up to 4:00 in the morning. He wanted to go to bed. I'm like, you're not going to bed. You're not done yet. Stop. Keep going. And by the time I was done, I published the book, and it was an experience. It was an experience. I think it was my calling as well. And I think I was part of the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can you kind of tell me a little bit about what the story is about without giving it away?
The story is it's about a man's life that he had some land. His father bought some land, in around here in New York, and they dug up a grave. They dug up a grave, and ever since they dug up that grave, all the stuff's been happening around them, and followed him through his life.
So did they know it was a grave, or did they?
Oh, it was an old grave they found in the land, and they started digging up a grave, and flies started coming out of it. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. So
And do they know how old the grave was? Was there a marker?
It was an 1800s grave.
And there were flies in it?
Coming out of the grave after they undug it, yes.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. That's unheard of.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a pretty lit up grave, I'm sure. Wow.
And everything that he's experienced through his life all surrounds everything that they did.
Wow.
So
that's incredible.
It is incredible.
So tell us the name of the story again.
The Family Cabin, The Life of Philip Syracuse. It's on Barnes and Nobles. If you my name's Christina Corsetti. So if you just type in Christina Corsetti, my 2 books will come up. Nice. I also have a Book of Shadows, the Spiritually Bound Handbook, Beginner to Intermediate Book of Shadows, and everything that I've learned throughout my life.
Okay.
Yes.
So when you tell me something. So this is something I don't know much about. So when you say the Book of Shadows, I've heard that term many, many times in the witch community. What does that mean? Can you explain that for our listeners? I think I know what it is, but I want you to tell me.
It's a collection of everything that you gathered and learned.
Okay.
So if I have a spell that I've learned, I write it down, I take the paper, I put it in my Book of Shadows.
Okay.
So a Book of Shadows can be a bunch of crumpled up pieces of paper that you've collected over your life. Well, I took all those crumpled pieces of paper, uncrumpled them, and and put them all neatly in a book. It's 574 pages.
Wow, that's not a small book.
No, it's not. But it's everything that I've learned in my life. So you have everything, because I have memory issues. And what happens is instead of writing things over and over and over again because of my disability, I took everything I learned, put it in one book. So all you need is that one book for everything you need to know.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well,
Thank
that's
you.
partly why I wanted to do this podcast too, is when I go, I want stuff that I know to pass on. I want people to
Sure.
learn from stuff that I've learned, because I think everybody's got life lessons they need to go through and learn. But I also would like to save people from having to learn some of the lessons that I did the hard way,
Yes. Yes.
and at least make their journey a little more pleasant, because you're
Yes.
still going to have bumps in the road. My mom always said, life is like a freeway. And, if you pay attention to the road signs, you're still going to hit potholes once in a while, but it'll be smoother. And
Oh, yeah.
if you ignore everything that's around you, you're going to have a lot of detours and a lot of problems.
Yes.
And I think that's some good advice. I think that
It
makes
is great
a lot of
advice.
sense. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I like that. I like that. She's pretty philosophical, so that was fun. So, is there any project that you're working on right now that you can talk about, or that something you're putting together?
Well, I am working with the Horsefly Chronicles, World of Psychics, and I do tarot card readings, and I'm working with them with spiritual products that we make and readings that we do, and that's the Horsefly Chronicles, worldofpsychics.com.
Okay.
We'll find everything there that we work on. I'm working on my third book.
Nice.
It is my third book. I want to make it to a documentary. It's called The Day I Saw the Devil.
Ah.
Yeah, I want to make it into a documentary. I am starting my third book. And it's everything that I experienced in my life. Everything from day one, everything with all the paranormal experiences, everything that I've gone through, everything that I went through, and everything that I'm still going through.
Right.
It's going to be in that book. And that's what it's about. It's about my life.
Nice.
Yes.
That sounds really intriguing.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
I bet. I would be too. That's awesome.
I had many experiences. So I like to put that in there and show people exactly what people have gone through, and that is still hope, and you can still keep going and fighting, and
Yeah, exactly.
not to be afraid.
Right. Well, I think that I'm glad that there are ghost shows and ghost hunting shows, but I feel like they've done the industry a disservice by always making it about the scare factor.
Exactly.
Because I think that causes people a lot of grief that's unnecessary.
Mm-hmm. Or staged.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like the paranormal is an exciting field all by itself. Just the idea of the afterlife and just dealing with the afterlife and souls and energy and all that good stuff. But to actually be petrified by it and scared by it, to me, is a real shame, because you don't have to be.
Exactly.
It's not necessary. And I think, the movie Poltergeist, for example, that's sent a whole generation of people back on their heels, that, oh my gosh, all these terrible things can just be in a house and blah, blah, blah. Well, there's some truth to that. And then there's a bit of exaggeration and stretching on that.
A bit of Hollywood to it.
Yeah, a little bit of Hollywood one in that one, for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely. I appreciate your time, Christina, and I'm so glad that you came on to talk with me today and share with the listeners what you're doing. How can somebody find you? If somebody wants to hire you to do an investigation or just wants to have a tarot reading, how do they reach you?
Okay. I am Haunted Salem. I've been doing it for 25 years on social media. You can find me anything. I'm on all platforms. So you just look up Haunted Salem and you'll be able to find me. My name is Haunted Chris on Facebook, and anyone wants to message me or email me, hauntedsalem2772@gmail.com.
Nice.
And I'll be able to send them in any direction they need.
Nice. Well, that is awesome. I'm going to have you come back again, because I think you're going to have more stuff to talk about.
Oh, I got a lot of experiences I want to talk about. Absolutely. That'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this is Holly from Hollys Pandorium, and I thank you for listening and or watching. And as my friend Jay likes to say, please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. And please contact me if you have a story you'd like to share. Thanks again.